Hello, good evening. I'm BINTI. So my name is NURMAISARAH together with Adam. Is our presentation in the topic analysis like of emotional intelligence based on the interview that we had conducted before. Let's take a look at the demographic information. Interview A, Venkat Rao is Indian, 20 years old male, diploma in accounting, student and single. Interview B, Liang Kong, he is Chinese, 33 years old male, have degree in Chinese education, high school teacher and married. Interview C, Puan Siti Rohana is Malay, 49 years old female, degree in Malay language teacher, she is medical school teacher and married. Next question 1. What is the meaning of emotional intelligence for you? So interview A stated that emotional intelligence is how we're able to accept criticism. So here he has persuasive definition in which to persuade listeners to agree with this point. And usually persuasive definition is very subjective. Here he explained on his own words and how we understand to persuade the listeners. Next is emotive word. So emotive word is word choices intended to get emotional reactions or arouse emotions from other people. Here criticism is the emotive word used, which is to accept criticism or judgment from other people. Next, interview B, he defined meanings by definition by subclasses. For example, he stated emotional intelligence consists of 5 characteristics, and he stated what is the 5 characteristics are. So, definition by subclass means to assign meanings by listing subclasses or categories. And since he defining by subclasses, he has precision, which is the examples of what emotional intelligence is specifically being given by interview B. So precision means to be exact, of necessary level of detail or specific in giving evidence. Interview C has lexical definition. So lexical definition means words that define a way is standardly used. So and it is also accurate because it is similar to dictionary meanings. So accurate means to free from errors, mistakes, true and correct. To agree with the statement adolescents lack of emotional intelligence, why or why not? So interview A stated that he agreed and then he stated his reasoning. However, he lack of precision. So precision means to pay attention to specific details when giving evidences. So here he did not say how or why they did not want to share the problems. He did not give elaborations or example on that. That's why he lack of precision. Next is there is hasty generalizations in his statement, which is he stated most adolescents. So hasty generalization means to make a claim based on evidence that it is too small. So here he probably not met all adolescents in his high school, so he make a generalization based on his experiences. So next is interview B. Has the element of argument from authority. Argument from authority is inductive reasoning, which a claim made from personal authority. As we can see here, he stated from my teaching experience. So he is a teacher, so he made a claim based on his authority as a teacher. Next is clarity. Interview B has the clarity in his explanation and statement. So he stated why he found many adolescents have moderate emotional intelligence and make it more understandable. So clarity means to make a statement more understandable and free from confusions. Next, interview C, there are emotive language in her statement. For example, inline. Inline means in control. Anger means to be mad about something. So emotive language is words choices that are intended to get emotional reactions or arouse an emotions. Next is stereotype. She's stereotyping adolescents that they are inexperienced. So stereotype means a preconceived notion, especially about a group of people. Here we can see she stated that adolescents are inexperienced. Next, do you find it hard to communicate with adolescents who lack emotional intelligence? Why do you say so? So interview A has some unsupported assertion in which a statement about what speakers happens to believe in. So interview A believed that he don't really have a hard time to communicate with adolescents, and then he gave his reasonings why. Because he used to communicate with most of adolescents and get to know their problems, and more explanation on that. Next is logical correctness. Overall statement have logical correctness in which it makes sense and there are no contradictions. And it's logical to say that he don't really have problems to communicate because most of the adolescents need more time to communicate, and he knows how to communicate with the adolescents. Next, interview B has a vagueness in language in his statement. For example, I will try to create some common topics that we can discuss on. So common is usual. So here is vague because we don't really know what kind of topics he wants to talk about. He don't really specify what kind of topics that he wants to share with the adolescents. So vagueness can be seen as a fuzzy meaning that is lack of certainty or distinctness. Next, inconsistency. Inconsistency is where a speaker make contradictory claim. We can see here first he stated that it's challenging, but then he just jumped into the solutions without giving any explanation why is it challenging. So it's contradictory to his first claim. Interview C has predictive argument in her statement. So predictive argument is one of inductive reasoning, which is to predict something and defend it with reason. So here she predicted that the atmosphere will be tense because they uphold their opinions, and that is what makes the adolescents are difficult to communicate with. Next, there is unwarranted assumption. Unwarranted assumption is a barrier in critical thinking which fails to provide adequate reasons for believing the truth of the conclusion. So she just make an assumption on what she believes is true, which is the group is very disliked, which is not always they are going to be disliked or not confirmed. It is not always confirmed that they are going to be disliked by other people. Next, in your opinion, why adolescents who lack emotional intelligence have trouble making friends? So interviewee A has relevance in his overall statement. Relevance means that information and idea discussed must be logically relevant to the issues we discuss. So he stated that the issue is why adolescents struggle making friends, and his examples and his explanation is relevant to the topics is being discussed, which is they might not open up to everything and have freedom to share to their friends. Next, he also has appealed to pity, which is the arguer attempt to evoke feelings pity from the listeners. So the listeners might think that adolescents who lack emotional have trouble making friends and feel sympathized with them. However, this is not a fallacy. It's not a fallacy because it's relevant to what the arguer's purpose is, which is to explain why the adolescents have trouble making friends. Next, interview B, he has clarity in his overall statement. He make us understand why they have trouble making friends in a clear way, and it doesn't have any confusion. And then next, he also has a predictive argument, which is prediction that defended with reasons why he predicted that they get angry easily and no one will willing to make friends with them. So that is why they don't really have trouble. They have trouble in making friends. Next, interview C stated there are causal argument in his statement. Causal argument means to assist something is the cause of something. So this she argues that it's difficult to make friends. They are difficult to make friends because of their attitude. So their attitude is the cause of why they have trouble making friends. Next is ambiguity. However, she seems to have ambiguity in her statement. In the last sentence, they seem unwilling to chat with anyone. They has ambiguity. Is they is referring to the friends, or they is referring to the emotion to the adolescence itself. So they are ambiguous. So ambiguous means words or expression that have two or distinct meanings, and also context that does not make clear which meaning is intended. So I think that's all for me. Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day to Dr. Zamna and my fellow friends. Alright, today I will continue the presentation by analyzing question 5 until 8. Well, for question 5, do you agree that parents are to be blamed for a lack of emotional intelligence in adolescents? Can you elaborate? Well, for interviewee A, which is Venkat Rao, he is using the concept of logical correctness by stating that nowadays parents are really busy with their work or job, thus they have really limited time to spend with their kids. So these adolescents, they will keep all their problems into them, and they will become more depressed and stressed. Based from that, logical correctness is a conclusion stated based from the beliefs that we hold. It's because his conclusion is based on what he believes. The second concept is the concept of predictive argument. Predictive argument is a statement about things that may or will happen in the future. From that, he predicts that parents have really limited time to spend with their kids because they are busy with their jobs. All right, next for interviewee B, he is using the concept of deductive argument. Deductive argument is defined as to provide logically conclusive grounds for the conclusion. He states that with companionship and effective guidance from parents, a child will be guided to the right path on managing their emotion. Next is the usage of predictive argument. The interviewee is stating that a child will be guided to the right path on managing their emotion with companionship and effective guidance from parents. And lastly, for interviewee C, she is using the concept of clarity, which is defined as a statement which is true and can be expressed clearly. From that, she explains that adolescents are very lucky to have access to self-improvement from interactive facilities and skills, can connect with counselors at the school, and self-motivation YouTube is also available from them. And moreover, the next concept is she's using the concept of emotive words. Emotive word can come out from the word of denotation or literal meaning. She uses the emotive word of vice versa to explain that adolescents have a choice to do good or bad in vice versa. For question 6, do you agree that adolescents who lack emotional intelligence always fail in school due to their behavior? Why or why not? Well, for interviewee A, he is using the concept of causal argument by stating that adolescents who lack emotional intelligence always fail in the school due to their behavior. Next, the second concept is the usage of hasty generalization. It is because Venkat Rao, he draws a general conclusion from a sample that is biased. He states that most of the adolescents follow their friends or peers and tend to join into negative activities. Well, for interviewee B, he is using the concept of accuracy. It means that Mr. Ko, he is using the accurate information by explaining the school education systems focuses on intelligence quality and they can get good grades in school. For the second concept is the usage of inductive generalization. It means that he claims the statement of like from the school education that focuses on intelligence quality and they can get good grades in school, and from that perhaps children who are weak in controlling their emotional intelligence will have troubles in their life. And last but not least, for interviewee C, For Siti Rohana Mastura, she is using the concept of fairness from the statement of they have no problem in studying. It means that her statement is open-minded and free of distorting biases and preconceptions. And the second concept is the usage of emotive words, which is emotional control. It means that she wants to explain that these adolescents have no problem in studying, although they are lack in managing their emotions. For question 7, do you agree that adolescents tend to have emotional outbursts more than adults? Why or why not? As for interviewee A, he explains by using the concept of hasty generalization by stating that the adults are facing more problems as compared to these adolescents. It means that the adults is the one who are facing more challenges as compared to these adolescents. For the second concept, he is using the concept of predictive argument by explaining that the adults, they are already into their reality life with stress, financial problems, and their family problems. For interviewee B, he is using the concept of causal argument by stating that adults they have higher ability to control their emotions. Besides that, the second concept that he is using is the usage of unwarranted assumptions by explaining the statement of the teenagers are less able to control their emotions, which is from the statement we can see that his statement is taken for granted without any good reasons. For interviewee C, she is using the concept of overgenerality. As we can see from her statement, adolescents can still be helped to overcome this problem. Because we can see that her statement is too broad and unspecific in a given context. Next, her statement of attitude of less emotional control in adolescents are lower than adults. We can see that the usage of this statement is lack of precision is because there are no statistical data that she relies with by explaining her statement. Last but not least, for question 8, adolescents mature over time. Do you think that adolescents with a lack of emotional intelligence can change and improve themselves? Can you elaborate? Alright, for interviewee A, he is using the concept of clarity by explaining that they can change and improve themselves day by day, like how they are meeting with people outside of school. It means that adolescents can improve by meeting people outside their school environment. Next is the usage of illustrations. It means that he is giving the examples or illustrations by explaining that these adolescents, they can share their thoughts, ideas, and their life experiences which happens in the past. For interviewee B, you can see that he is using the concept of predictive argument by stating that teenagers will gradually mature enough through their learning process in overcoming the difficulties. Next, he also used the concept of overgenerality by explaining that the troubles in life will teach them to be able to control their emotion, which is from that statement is too general in a given context. Finally, for interviewee C, she is using the concept of emotive words, which is mentoring, to explain that guiding and mentoring can help these adolescents to improve themselves. Next, she uses the concept of explanations by stating that these adolescents can be helped from time to time through family monitoring, counseling session, mentoring, and also good friends, which is the usage of the explanations. To conclude, based on the interview sessions, interviewee A, even he is the youngest and only have diploma, he is more critical, more precise in giving his explanations. For interviewee B and C, they give simple and concise answers too and appear to be more mature due to their experiences. However, they are lacking in giving precise answers as compared to interviewee A. And that is all from me and MUSNIZAM. Thank you.